Okay, what is Porter's 5 forces? Well, we previously talked about the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats analysis, the SWOT analysis, to take an internal look at the business and see how that could produce either internal or external opportunities and threats. Well, Porter's 5 forces is the next step. It helps you understand that what is the relative dynamics for a product or service like yours in a given market. Okay, so it identifies several factors. Supplier power, which means basically picture yourself as the product, service, or idea business. Whatever level of input from outside, from third parties, that you need in your business to deliver your value proposition. Now, generally, that input of value is going to have some relative strength, some negotiating strength with your business. Is it going to be a higher price for those resources or a lower price for those resources in order to carry out your value proposition? And that's known as supplier power. Buyer power, on the other hand, is the end user, the customer, the client for your product, service, idea, business. What level of power do they have relative to the business? That is, do they have other options? Can they go to other competitors? Is there a changing cost to go to other competitor businesses or to use substitute products or something like that? If there are lots of other options, they have greater negotiating leverage in dealing with the business. So it takes more accommodation or effort on the part of the business to meet the demands or desires of those buyers. So again, supplier power being the resources coming in, buyer power, those purchasing the resources going out, the relative power in those segments. The next one is competitive rivalry. In the center of the circle with the business, how much competition is there from businesses that are doing similar things that can justifiably be categorized in this market? Okay, if there are a lot of competitors and a lot of variations on the product at any different strategic orientation, then it's a relatively high level of competitive rivalry, which normally means that the barriers for entry have really gone up. Right? It makes it more and more difficult to grab a sustainable level of market share at a sufficient margin to make operating in this segment, in this market, sustainable. Okay, so in light of that, you look at the threat of substitution, because threat of substitution is the use of a different product or service that may not be a direct competitor within your market pool, but it's the availability to use these substitute products or services instead of your product or service. Okay, while it may not again be a direct fit, if it's easy to substitute these, think about it like this. Say washer and dryer, right? To wash the clothes and then to dry the clothes. A substitute product that's not directly related is not a competitor in the electronic industry would be clotheslines and clothespins, right? They are substitute products that allow the customer end user to achieve the exact same thing, but they're not necessarily direct competitors. They're not electronic manufacturers that manufacture a competitor washer and dryer. All right, and then threat of new entry. How low or how high are the barriers for entry for individuals who would like to jump into the market? If there are high margins and low number of competitors within the market, you're going to have a lot of people, a lot of competitive businesses trying to get in. But are there other hurdles or barriers to get in? But that affects the level of threat that exists for potential new entrants. So you look again at those economic factors or to see if you're going to have new entrants, the strength to drive for new entrants to enter, and then look at to see if other hurdles exist. Anything from licensing to intellectual property issues to infrastructure, right? Infrastructure can be a difficult one. Think about airlines, right? It can be very difficult to jump into the airline business, even during times when it would be a lucrative field to get into because of the high capital cost to purchase planes and to get spaces at airports. So anyway, these taken together can help you understand within a given market where a business, product, service, idea business would stand in comparison to the existing competitors, and strategically what is your strength with regard to buyers and sellers in that market.